bans out and the Elise, so same thing from EDG and the Galio. So actually we're watching a rewind of game 1 for us.
I don't know if the fear of God has just been played in EDG, maybe scrims or something, but Xiaohu's Galio, yeah, he's played it, but it has never been this prominent as a ban before.
It's got to be a reason, and you would have to assume it's something invisible to us like those scrims, but Callista, Maokai,
getting some deja vu.
I think this is the same check. I need to double check. We're not just having a rerun right here.
Not too sold on it so far. Of course, RNG on the opposite side, it was Gragas Alistar, so if we continue to mirror.
What's up, Frosty? Freaking out.
Oh man, guys, that game 1 went real well for us. Let's do the exact same thing and drive it off a cliff again.
There were other things at play in game number 1 besides the draft. If you want to, there was a lot of kills early. Things could have been played slightly better, and I would have to imagine J4 isn't going to be an identical draft from EDG. It's just one part of it.
I do hope that it gets flexed out of ClearLove's hands. Again, it just hasn't been a hot champion for him this split in particular, but like you said, there were different adaptations. In fact, we're going to get our first one here.
Alright, I've confirmed this is a different champion select. Tristana will get picked up here for Uzi. Means that Ming will get his Alistar again. Another takeaway from Mako. Scout will get his Cassiopeia on top of that. So the only change so far has been a Tristana to RNG.
Yeah, big change though. It means that something has to give from EDG right now. One of the champions we haven't seen a lot of from my boy.
He's only played it once so far in the best of 5 against Invictus Gaming. That said, he still only has 19 games on the competitive stage.
Though compared to his predecessor Zet, he just plays significantly more carries. Zet's primary carry was Ashe, but it will be Desire in the end for EDG here. My boy will get his second game on that one now as Gragas here for MLXG again.
And the fact that they didn't take Gragas, like I understand abusing the power of Jarvan as a flex pick, makes me feel that that is going to be ClearLove's Jarvan going there. Which again, I would have preferred to see him on the likes of the Gragas, but giving that one away, I think it's a mistake. I think MLXG is just way too powerful. I think Gragas is a blind pick, even though he isn't. I think it's so comfortable to pick blind Gragas as a jungle right now.
I mean, this is his go-to after Elise, right? Like, he would never go anywhere else other than the Gragas because it works for him. It works for him and a bunch of other junglers who just know how to use his pick in and out. Thresh will be banned against Mako, exactly the same as game 1. Syndra banned away against Xiaohu, however.
And that is something that I do like. They've taken away his Syndra. Xiaohu has a million other champions, but they want the Corki or the Taliyah. They want something that a Cassiopeia can control a bit more through the laning phase specifically, where Syndra, very hard to keep down. Yes, level 1, standard Cassiopeia strategies, but after that, he was fine.
Started pushing you out there. Final ban Orianna, again, same as game 1.
Yep, has a good lane into Cassiopeia.
But again, that is 3 target bans at Mako as well as a priority pick of Alistar. So how deep does the pool go? Is this when he pulls out the Kench?
Maybe. I mean, Braum and Thresh, taken away there from Mako, so he has to go for something different in game 2. Uzi will be picking for his team now, already has his Tristana.
I mean, it's easy to pick, it's easy to pick the mid laner here because you already have eyes on what EDG have put together, but Cho is just such a high priority pick right now.
And this is great from RNG. Cho'Gath can be locked in, and they can work out where the Jarvan's going, and so they can pick their mid laner based off the 2v2. Gragas and anything usually going to be pretty good at dueling as long as the second part has damage, as we await EDG's last lock-in.
That'll be the rumble there, so we're expecting the Jarvan now to go into the jungle again for ClearLove. Of course, once to get out of any bad matchups like a Renekton could be flying forth as well, but Cho'Gath will probably be laning up there now. We'll see as we look towards that final pick from RNG. And EDG are hovering over Taric, and Taric has not had a good life in the LPL.
But he's going to have another chance.
Look at those numbers. Look at how, I don't even have to translate for you. That says abysmal all over it. Taric is an abysmal pick in the LPL, which you would say, but Frost, it should be perfect for the LPL. He empowers diving, you become invulnerable, you can team fight all you want. The problem is that we're a region about reflex, about split-second decisions. That is a pick about preparation, about setup, and we're not able to execute on that very well.
Oh, he's still done it.
Oh, hello. Lucian picked up, and that will be going over to Xiaohu in the mid lane, right into the Cassiopeia. But traditionally, you'd say that Cassiopeia is pretty well into Lucian.
Yeah, so I was speculating that perhaps Xiaohu wanted to be Lucian, but Cassiopeia early pick, they ban away Syndra Orianna, and I still felt like they're not going to force him to do it. He's got Corki, he's got Taliyah, he's got other options there, but he still goes towards the aggressive choice. It's very hard to play that lane Cassiopeia usually wins. It does mean that you can't go Abyssal Mask, however, and you will still be fragile. So when you bring the 2v2 into play, it's still perfectly fine.
Now we do have these full compositions are finally put together, so there's been a couple alterations, but for the most part, these are actually very similar to Game 1 outside of those bans that came in the second phase. So which way are you leaning? Is it going to be the same as Game 1 for us?
I mean, originally I agreed with Rusty in game number 1. I liked EDG's composition. I like having a hyper carry with Cassiopeia. I think she's so devastating right now. And, you know, EDG obviously have the same thought. It was just the mid lane matchup. Let's get rid of the Syndra. Let's redraw. We're going to make sure that we get something comfortable for Scout, and we can actually execute on this composition. So I admire the confidence, if nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, they're against an Alistar Gragas Cho'Gath, though. The 3 tanks that can do an abundance of damage in their own right. When you look at the Cho'Gath in particular, can take apart carry. Xayah, low range. So it's not always going to be a good experience if you have to use the ultimate early to dodge one of the million knockups that they've got thrown at you. It's not something you can QSS. Xayah, very well equipped at dealing with one of them, but not with 3 of them running at you.
Important game ahead of EDG here. Really would like this win so they can turn this one back into a best of 3. Otherwise, they would have to reverse sweep RNG when you're looking so strong with this momentum. We're but seconds away from heading into the second game, ladies and gentlemen.
Naturally, taking first seed going into Worlds makes the trip that much easier. EDG, bit of a curse themselves. If Uzi could never find a domestic title, EDG can never find something past quarters. So winning here gives them a bit of a leg up to try to break that later on.
Yeah, and it would also finally finish off their kryptonite. That seems like RNG. Last time these teams faced in the finals, RNG did take it, and EDG would definitely like to put them in their place. You get a full view of the Rift as we head into this one. Game 2 between EDG and RNG.
Full view of the Rift, and of course the crowd exploding as we get back onto it. You can't understand a single thing they're saying because they're all just yelling in support of their team or player. Very hard to decipher. We're not full LCK, but they're excited nonetheless. All of the people in here, it's packed.
Yes, it is. Hi boy, everyone just fanning out to start of this game, so no early aggression coming out of these two teams as we look towards the Keystones.
And Rusty, I'm going to tee you up for this one because you noticed the first time this trend started to appear in the LPL, the taking of 2 Stoneborn packs.
Yeah, so the reason that you can go for Stoneborn Pact is that you're able to provide a heal for champions that will want to go for Fervor of Battle. In this case, however, Uzi's prioritized Warlord's Bloodlust. It's just Xiaohu. Of course, Lucian uniquely equipped at using the Fervor of Battle, and you often only see this when there are 280 carries on the team. 3 tanks, 280 carries, Stoneborn Pact, and then everyone heals. If you have Warlords, you heal more. If you have Fervor of Battle, you deal more damage, and it compensates for the lack of Warlords. But you still heal something, which is fantastic.
And what it overall does is it makes that first completed item for Xiaohu on the Lucian, which is already going to be devastating because it's usually Blade of the Ruined King, that much more devastating because you're getting the combination of the defense and the offense from the combined masteries and completed itemization.
We get to see this Taric again in the bottom lane. And hopefully has a better success rate because you saw 37% win rate in the LPL, which, you know, you don't need to be a numbers genius to realize probably not very good.
No,
just teams haven't been able to utilize it right correctly.
I mean, that's a good start from Mako if ever you've seen one. At the same time, the problem is never going to be the laning phase for a Taric. It's always going to be the ultimate as they get off. But mid laners,
Scout's in trouble.
Unsurprisingly, at it again.
Forward from Xiao, who's actually taking a lot of damage, has to burn the heal. MLXG forces Scout now out of lane so he can circle back around.
And again, he saw and caught MLXG on an early ward, so Scout tried to go all in and maybe trade one for one.
He's actually aggressing a lot right here with that W. Mako will get the lockdown onto Ming as they retreat backwards.
And Mako could have flashed forwards if they were feeling aggressive, but he chooses not to. That
Round
may
2.
save them.
And Uzi's jumped right into the fray here as MLXG would turn the corner.
Missed.
Doesn't burn the flash here.
Oh, Mako.
That was a massive dazzle coming out, and he'll have to flash away from this one. Mako was the savior of that play. It's actually putting damage back on towards MLXG.
But it's right there. It's those moments that you look and you see, that's why Mako's a superstar. That's why he's the best support in the LPL. And then likewise, iBoy, the amount of skill shots or sticky situations that he's managed to glide or elegantly sidestep out of.
Yeah, the fact that the body slam didn't connect is devastating for the side of RNG. The flash was forced early by Ming. That's the correct play from the Alistar. But close, no cigar, they're not going to get what they're after. And MLXG, this time around, wasting a lot of time.
But it's a very similar blueprint, at least from RNG, for game number 2 as game number 1. The fact that it's very quick, very fast and heavy ganks. MLXG ganks mid, immediately goes bottom. And so if he keeps it up, it's going to be another bot gank. But meanwhile, mid.
Looking for this gank, but Ming is also turns.
It's just an Alistar here.
Maybe I won't take on this. Alistar's just rocked up from bottom lane.
And you know what is good about that, though, from Xiao, is it forces Scout to recall. He had no mana, he had no availability to trade. The concern is that Xiao has to expend his own health for it, as, you know what, he didn't recall. We've just got 3 people here for no real reason.
That's all good. We're tri-laning now, but we're just trying to push in this wave for Scout so he can get a reset. Look at that, Mako even gets some gold for his trouble, so he'll go back to base.
They've prioritized Scout getting like 3 CS that much. They stop him recalling to collect that, and they bring 3 people there. That says a lot.
Yep, Xiaohu's going to take this opportunity to push in the wave as fast as he can, and Mako is now the mid laner. I think
Hi boys, now the
I guess he's
jungle.
going to back away.
Yeah, and it's not just impacting mid lane, it's impacting bot lane. The fact that iBoy has to respect that he doesn't have eyes on the Alistar, that Ming could be walking down towards the bottom river, can't step forward, can't CS. So Scout demanding a lot of attention, and it's taking away from other areas on the map.
First time jungle is going to meet toe-to-toe. Nice flag and drag.
Big
in the combo.
chunk.
Yep, coming in from the Thunderlords. MLXG is going to be slapped back home. Nice bit of slow down there, waiting for the flag and drag to come back off cooldown, but unfortunately won't be able to follow after. So.
It is level 4 to level 3 though between those junglers, so naturally the J4 will have the slight edge. All he does is push him out, and now he's invading using the Cassiopeia. Lucian had recalled. They don't know where he is, but he is right there.
Plenty of
Also
invade is
Cho'Gath.
happening with Clear Love and Scout on this. And Ming constantly roaming. He's only level 3 because he's just spent most of his time walking from lane to lane. And that's leaving Uzi out in the open.
Yeah, but it's the reason why he's free to roam is because A, it's Uzi, B, it's Uzi on Tristana. So just like the Ezreal, feeling very confident, very self-sufficient on the champion.
The major difference here is that it's not going to be a 20 CS lead with turret damage being taken by Uzi and Ming in the 2v2, locking Mako in lane. And it's actually, with Ming disappearing, it unlocks Mako if he chooses.
Scout getting a lot of damage towards Xiaohu, and that's pretty much how the Cassiopeia matchup goes. That's usually why it's picked into the Lucian here. There was the other way around on this one.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating to play against with the Relentless Pursuit, especially because Lucian's so dependent on it for his maximizing his damage output. So
It means you can't start any trades with your Relentless Pursuit, so you'll have to use it to disengage, and then they'll just place the W down. So you have to use it at a certain time, or you might actually be at risk of dying in any of these trades. That's the danger.
Yep, this is frustrating to play against. You can see it in the mid lane. We're rapidly approaching at level 6 as well. Combo out from Ming, though there is no follow-up from the jungler, so it's just a small trade down here. We can look at the kill totals and the CS differential, which is basically 0 in the bottom lane and the mid lane here.
Tristana is one of those uniquely powerful champions at disengaging in any situation as well. We saw it from iBoy. We're seeing it again from Uzi as mid.
And XG, flash, and the E come out. Scout turn around, got the light slinger, and the piercing light there in time.
and eventually it had to pay off for MLXG. He has been hanging around that mid lane for the last 2 minutes, and Clearlove was playing red zone defense, shadowing underneath Scout, trying to give him space, but Clearlove decides, I actually need to farm my jungler, and as soon as he steps away, MLXG, perseverance is key.
Yeah. You got to be feeling a little bit salty that someone who's been petrified just hit you with the Q there, but still, Xiao who had the flash, he had the heal, and Scout had already used his summoner, so he wasn't getting out of that one regardless. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ming looking for another engage, will get the stun down. Uzi poking away against Mako.
Yeah,
nice, bit of healing out there.
They're not going to get kills though. It's Taric against Alistar.
Yep.
The crowd control's good. It's just lane pressure, lane control, and again, if he's going to go forwards, use the combo. Whenever it's off cooldown, he can be aggressive. Whenever it's on cooldown, Mako's then going aggressive. That's just the back and forth of the 2v2 we're watching down there. It's less about that. It's more about, can Ming be unlocked one more time? He's rushed his boots. He has a very defined purpose.
Whereas Mako's kind of gone all in on the Ardent Sensor. The nice thing about Taric is that he's one of the few tanks that anyone can build Ardent Sensor. We've seen that, but he's one of the few tanks that can kind of naturally go towards it. Has the Windspeaker's blessing
he
as
has
well.
heals and shields as a part of his kit
Just
as a tank.
Trundle with Ardent Sensor is just flashing in my mind, Rusty.
Man, Bard has a stun. Stoneborn Pact exists.
How does it always come back to Bard? How does this keep happening?
Because Rusty's on the
met
desk.
But yes, it means that whilst he's a tank, he's not going to be as tanky. It's more about the ultimate. And that's where a lot of the Tarics that we've been seeing have been going wrong in the LPL. They're not building full tank, and they're trying to play like they are still one. and dying before the ultimate is successful. They're also against an Alistar Gragas here, so Tarek's ultimate's pretty hard to use.
But Mako's doubled down. He now has Mobies, and he's now in mid.
Going for this. We'll get the knock up, and everyone is colliding at the same time into the mid lane. Scout trying his best. Cliff actually turned up to the fight.
He's just trapped your team in.
But Mouse, he's literally been trapped into the meat grinder. Mako rocks up, and Cliff, I'm helping.
Exactly that. Hello, I am helping. It was supposed to be the slam dunk. The equalizer drops down, but Mouse is like, I don't do any damage.
That was literally the Jarvan meme. Like, what did I just watch?
You watched Clearlove set his team up to fail. Mako's going to try his best to stop it from happening on the back end, but no time to get the ultimate off, no time to disengage. And RNG, they are preying upon Scout. They are taking him apart, and they are using that as their win condition.
That is a 9-minute 30 first tower. The access that's going to give to MLXG and Ming, Moby Boots, Alistar cannot be understated as we take another look at that.
And it's all the cast from MLXG to secure the first kill on the Scout. Played incredibly well in this decision. Look, he locked 4 of them in. The real MVP, to be fair, is the silence out of Let Me, because there's no chance for the equalizer. There's no chance to actually let the wall down because you are trapped. So Let Me locks them in and says you are stuck in here. Jarvan is helping. He's just helping me.
But I still have a problem with the decision making of 3v2, 2v4.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it was pretty silly.
Yeah. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a team call there because Mouse decided to finish the teleport in the first place. But Clearlove also went in for the engage. So something's disconnected. And we talked about this in Game 1, but it's definitely plaguing them in Game 2.
That's a trust fall where you fall off the back of the stage, you just hit the concrete.
Yeah, pretty much. Face first. 3 kills in the early game to RNG. That Rupture didn't land, otherwise that was going to be a lot of hurt. And all these lanes are now winning.
But again, the big thing is the access that it then gives, either controlling and denying Scout further. You know, maybe Xiaohu holds the wave, maybe he forces the Cassiopeia to reach out to danger again, or he pushes it forward, uses that priority, and starts to blitz other sides of the map with MLXG. And it looks like it's going to be the bottom lane as he keeps cheating down here, and you see the respect that iBoy and Mako immediately have to give.
And he's using Xiaohu this time because of the mid lane outer turret being gone. It means that they don't just have to give respect, they have to give more respect. They have to back away from the structure, or they have to bring Scout down, and they can't bring the Cassiopeia down, and so they just have to concede. The Lucian didn't even show, just disappeared in the jungle, and their turret's gone.
This will be another tower over to RNG, and now I'm instantly looking at EDG and saying, okay, where are we responding?
They're responding top lane.
They're taking the top lane. They also took Krugs on top of that, but the minion wave just crashed, and that gives more tempo over to RNG to make another play here for us.
Yeah, and there's still massive dive potential. Alistar has ultimate, doesn't have flash. MLXG does have flash, though, as well as the cast. So iBoy and Mako, they can't safely stand here.
The second that stun's gone from Mako, you watch MLXG and you're like, all right, he's about to go. But
Ming starts walking past the tower, sees Cassiopeia. Nope.
Perhaps not. RNG will back it up from this one, though. There is a nice Mountain Dragon ready for them to take. Mouse will get all of this solo gold to himself. I want to say tower gold, but redundant. But there we go. So Mountain Dragon also over to RNG. And top lane has been collected by Letney. So overall, I can definitively say RNG have won out from that trade.
yeah, they have. They've got a big lead as a result of that. Is still going forwards. Oh my god.
Nice dazzle from Mako. Right time, but now he's still caught out. He's trying to assist. Oh, the ultimate from MLXG has pretty much confirmed the fate of iBoy though. And now he's having to run away as Mako will be the first death. This is quickly looking like a second. It's a second to the bouncy castle. He actually just can't move. iBoy getting chased out. I just want the farm at this point. I'm just going to annoy Uzi while I can. And that's just going to be it for him. 2 more kills to RNG.
And now it's not just questions about Clearlove's decision-making this series, but that's now Mako and iBoy cut off. You see the Mountain Dragon go down. You know exactly where RNG are, and suddenly they're dead.
And they pounce so quickly, though. RNG jumping over the wall as they check. I believe it was just a ward being placed by Mako, and Tristana suddenly on top of his face. Slowed down, Gragas comes in, Alistar's already there. RNG are prepared for EDG's overexertions. Even if it's by 1 pixel, by 1 Teemo of difference, they are so ready to jump on top of them.
Very evident in this game so far as we look towards those goal totals and back at the fact that Xiaohu and Uzi, the 2 hungry members on RNG, both have 4 kills between them, and they are just so incredibly big. They'll start to hit those first item spikes sooner. They'll look to accelerate this game for us.
And it's just going to ramp even faster again. We talked about, Tristana, why she's become so prevalent, and the big thing is her ability to ramp into mid-game, especially in tandem with someone like a Lucian, who peaks so hard there. Move her around, let her Satchel do the work for you, collect all that global gold, and just walk into free fights.
Once again so
finding Clearlove.
much pressure coming out of RNG. Whether they kill him or not, they push him out of the jungle. Then they secure mid. Somehow Letme's also there at the same time, so their lane assignments are moving around. They're just exploiting EDG.
At the same time, I see Ming and I see MLXG holding hands, going through the jungle, this buddy system, pushing Clearlove out, and I'm like, all right, well, where's Mako? And Mako's by himself right now, not with Clearlove.
I mean, what's he supposed to do? He's got the beginnings of a Sightstone and nothing else, some brown bags.
I mean, Clearlove's coming up now, and you have to look at why as well. Like, he has to help iBoy. He has to try and protect his Xayah because Uzi and Ming are threatening on that side of the map. So I would say it's less about, whoop, where is Mako?
Drag, but MLXG's here, comes in with the slam dunk. But we're still chasing him after. Mako has caught Uzi, but he's going to hop the wall, obviously.
Big split fight.
Forces them off, though. Looks like they'll get this.
And now Herald will actually go to EDG. We'll see if RNG have anything to say about it. They do have a Cho'Gath in the bot side, though.
So trying to bank on the fact that Letme has pressure down there. He doesn't have teleport, so it's a 4v5 advantage for EDG. They smartly pull Mouse, knowing that that cooldown isn't available for Letme, and then force it to possibly trade towers later down the road.
Yeah, clever move, honestly, from the side of EDG, just with the teleport advantage. And that's the other thing that has changed in this game. They've got Mouse on Rumble. They've put him on much more of a carry role. It's not a Maokai.
Yep.
And they're going to have control through that bottom lane, at least earlier on, to be able to push it out and disappear. And that's a big reason as to why they can threaten that Herald.
Yep, no longer on those big potato tanks, I think, as you coined the phrase for us, Kieran, at the start of the set.
And he's about to get very important because he's ever closer to level 11. But a dive was being kind of set up by RNG, but I think they're just reminded from Let Me in the back. Guys, I still don't have teleport. Don't do it.
Just wait like a minute, and I'll be ready to go on this teleport. Also, he's used the Feast pretty recently on top of that, so we'll be looking in the future for the next fight. But it's nice to see from EDG, probably the first time I've actually seen them fire back. Definitely in this set, and for a good long while, even in the last set, in the last game.
I mean, to be fair, they were firing back in kills in game number one. This time around, RNG have actually slowed the pace down and looked for just the picks. EDG have slowed the pace down, and they can't find the picks because they're trying to scale through laning phase. But Xayah not controlling the lane, Clearlove not necessarily in the correct places to help the rest of his team. They're now finally starting to make those moves, but is it too late?
They need to be careful because they're also exposing themselves to a flank, not just from top side, but also bot side. In fact, Let Me might get caught out. Nope, he's going to go the safe way around.
Yeah, seems like Herald, that's all she's going to get to do today. Though MLXG is coming around the backside.
No one saw.
And don't worry about it, guys.
Do not look at the bottom left of your screen where there's a cooldown. I promise you he did nothing wrong.
It happens, even at the highest level of play.
Classic.
It's fine. He's got 100% kill participation. We can't rag on him.
You just know that he's in a highlight reel now.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be in it. No one wants to be in that highlight reel.
Top 10 fails. The LPL finals. But he's made a highlight at the very least.
And we are nearing some item spikes as well.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, Shahu's been sitting on those two items for what feels like a year. That guy has to be sitting on some massive gold.
Some massive gold.
Massive gold.
Many of the golds.
Mini golds.
The size of that gold.
What do you reckon he's going to pick?
Like,
he should have the full Blade of Ring King.
Between your hair and the amount of gold that he has, that high.
I will say that your hair is probably taller than mine right now, Frost. Definitely being
Calm
cut
down.
down to size.
Go.
Either way, Uzi has his items, all right? Like, that's where
We're just
I was
having
going. So thank you for derailing it. But on the other side is the other point that I wanted to make was that whilst Uzi's got his items, iBoy is still about 900 off on the Zeal.
Oh,
hello.
Flying Drag. Clearlove has gone very deep
Goodbye.
in. And I believe that is the red buff over to MLXG.
Too easy. Cloud Drake about to spawn in 25 minutes. RNG are just going to play the pressure game. Show's going to move forward. He's going to push mid lane. You can see that Uzi really wants to push the bot.
That was a flash.
They're just going to collapse back to the dragon unless they find a pick here.
Just stepping up, baiting people to come towards him, and then RNG will collapse, taking away all these wards, taking away the minions, and as you said, setting up for Cloud Dragon.
And you're just seeing such a fundamental difference between these two teams. Like, even the Tristana, this one goes forwards, Uzi goes forwards, he pressures. iBoy was going backwards, he was kiting, he was trying to make plays. It's just fundamentally so different. And RNG, the fact that EDG have still got the same kind of mentality in the draft and given them this team composition again, you can still see the same amount of comfort. So it doesn't really matter how EDG adapts to that if they're still giving RNG their champions.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely an unfortunate situation to be in. Mako probably shouldn't have recalled there. Now he's being chased down. Cosmic Radiance comes out. The dual teleports out from both teams, and Mako still being chased out. Xiaohu turns up. He's got that first bite to come back.
Oh, they've got him.
Up, and iBoy wants out. He does have the teleport. The equalizer falls. RNG literally waltz out of the bottom lane.
They just smash EDG. The reinforcements have finally arrived, but the pick was so simple, so well done from RNG. There's no counterplay from EDG at all. They're caught recalling. The rest just naturally follows.
But Mako stared them in the face and then carried on recalling.
Yeah. Do you expect a flash from Alistar when Gragas body slams and has it on cooldown without his flash up? Like, I don't actually blame Mako for that part.
It's also the target selection, knowing that Mako's the primary target because iBoy still had his ultimate available for added safety. So chasing down the Tarek, burning him because he's the free kill, and then Gentleman Let Me here not only starts out the other fight, but holds the door open by grabbing all of the tower aggro. Nice little pause there. It's okay, guys, everyone out.
Please evacuate the premises.
Loudly as they are looking at a 20-minute Baron.
Hello.
They've definitely walked over Vision, but now they're completely invisible as they hammer down on this one, and Let Me rocks up with
this
his
gets
feast.
to smite range, it should just be secured
It's
by
almost there,
RNG.
Rusty. I mean, the smite's already gone down. We're waiting for the feast, and it's just gone. Let Me just secures it, and our EDG walk up, but it's just not there anymore.
It was 15 seconds flat, and the Baron's taken by them, and when it gets to smite range, Cho'Gath will always beat smite, so the easiest secure of your life for RNG. They just walk away uncontested with the Baron.
And so much of this is just starting in the draft phase. It feels like RNG have a plan, it's executed in draft, they then know exactly what to do with it when it's strong on the Rift, and do so. This is super easy Baron contests. You have Alistar, Gragas, and Cho'Gath. Rinse, wash, and repeat, exactly what happened in game number 1.
Uh-oh.
That was a little bit scary, but EDG didn't instantly pounce out of the brush, even though they could have. And Mako definitely just got crit by Uzi, who took away all of his health. We're going for the re-engage. And EDG, they split up. They still look for the fight. They got the Cataclysm from Cleo, but instantly realizes it's a bad idea.
Uzi's dead.
Gets the assassinate on Uzi. Now it's a 4 versus 4. Mid laner for AD carry, but a chase down. MLXG lands a perfect body slam and gets the second kill onto Mako.
You have to remember, all of this is happening whilst RNG have the Baron. Yes, they've lost Uzi, but they have a numbers advantage. They have the advantage because Xiaohu is still an AD carry, and so structures will fall down, compliments of having the Baron buff there. RNG are just outright winning.
They also have Mouse not in position. The fact that he had to take the long way around meant that the primary tank line with all of his health wasn't there to stand in front of iBoy and allow him to wave clear that mid tower.
Of course, we get to watch this again, and honestly, EDG, they made their presence known, and then they stayed in that exact same spot, and they give the options to continue to go forwards as iBoy gets the kill, Mouse helps out a lot, and then the follow-up. MLXG still has his flash.
And a good follow-up by Ming in the back half of that. And like you said, there's just so many damage dealers and no cooldowns left for EDG.
They put everything towards killing iBoy, and there's,
On the bright side, at 22 minutes in the game...
Are you going to say they got their first kill of the game for us?
I was going to say they've now got the Ardent Sensor, the brown bags, and the Sight Stone.
Oh, okay.
And their first kill while we're
He's
going.
rich.
He's rolling in it.
That's the power spike, though. I mean, he will be empowering all of his team, but when you look at who the Ardent Sensor really works towards here, it's mostly just going to be iBoy. I mean, I'm still not a fan of the Ardent Sensor rush here, to be honest with you.
While you're technically right, they are still incredibly far behind their opponent's RNG, and this was a race at the end of the day.
The nice thing, though, is that Xayah really peaks at 2 items, the Essence Reaver and then her Zeal completed item. So with the Ardent Sensor, she actually is quite strong right now.
Hello,
they could put again.
Out, 1, 2. Oh, and Let Me
if
just
he's not dead.
Drops him on the spot. Clear again with the Cataclysm. This time, he's got both the carries wailing into this fight. MLXG falls for a clear load. It's going to be in a second.
Uzi's got
reset time for Uzi. He's looking towards the Cassiopeia. Ming, it's gone very deep with no ultimate. Scout really wants this kill, but that could have been close. A knock-up had landed. But again, it will be another 2-for-1 trade.
And EDG are just getting ripped apart in these fights. That's multiple times that Mako is caught without vision. You know, he's only got the side stone. He doesn't have the extra ability to place down, you know, more wards. He needs to frequently be making more backs. He's not getting the time on the Rift needed, so RNG are finding these blind, dark pockets, and EDG are just falling into them.
And Scout is trying his hardest, but he's already 0-3. The pressure from the early game of RNG is starting to show fruit now at 20-odd minutes into this game because, yeah, his positioning wasn't that bad in the last fight, but he's so far behind. So his damage is nowhere near as comparable to that of the Lucian or the Tristana of Uzi. And if that's the difference maker, then it might already be too late for EDG. They have to wait 15 more minutes probably to be able to be relevant for the carries.
All right, we will have our first pause of the best of 5 here. We'll go ahead and try and figure what the problem is and try and get the information to you as fast as possible. And hopefully it's an easy fix.
But I think what Rusty said rings true. You know, at this point in the game, EDG, it is in disaster territory. They have to stall out so long. I think the only good thing is that Baron's not up just yet because RNG took it so early, so they at least have maybe like a 2-3 minute window where they get to catch their breath, but they need, you know, 10-15 minutes.
I'll be honest, that's not the best silver lining I've ever heard in my life for someone to come back
I'm trying to sell it, it's real hard.
I understand it for us. Right now Uzi, I mean, he died in that last fight, but overall this game is going very well for him. They're very close to finding that 2-0 and almost actually clean sweeping EDG here if something doesn't dramatically change in this game and the next.
It'd be bittersweet for EDG to have so many 3-0 victories in the finals of the LPL to suddenly be 3-0'd by their opponents this time.
82% win rate.
Yeah, pretty nuts. However, RNG look like the far superior team thus far, and it is bomb shelter time for EDG. They have to hunker down, try their absolute hardest to survive. You're right, maybe the Barret is the saving grace for us here, the fact that it was already gone, but we're nearing the territory of the Barret and the Eldar, and RNG have that lead.
I think the last kind of saving grace that they have, or the last bridge to try to get Cassie, to try to get Zion to where they need to be, is the Rumble. You know, use the level 11 equalizer. The fight wasn't completely disastrous. Mouse is now doing a lot more damage, and that's only going to get better as he takes over to level 16. So there is a tiny window if Mouse is in the right position, if the composition comes together for EDG, because it's very clear what it wants to do. We just haven't gotten those pieces together quite yet.
Yeah, Rumble was, for me, when I looked at draft in game number 2, even compared to the first game, I thought it was going to be the difference maker. The Shen was okay, but it never really felt like it had an impact, and they set the Shen up to succeed. They got the early kills. If EDG did the exact same thing in this game, Rumble can carry a lot harder, will win lane a lot harder, and be able to win team fights on top of that.
But unfortunately, the thing that tastes bad for me is that they give that responsibility to Mouse. Again, Mouse for me is a phenomenal role-playing tank player so far in 2017. To say, this is going to be the difference, Mouse is going to hard carry on the Rumble, just feels bad, man.
It just feels to me like RNG is striking so fast and hard in this set, and EDG, I've seen very few scenarios where they take the proactive move or even engage a fight.
And a lot of it is because of this guy on your screen. You know, Mako has fallen behind. He's not playing the same vision game. Ming, MLXG, you know, whether it's the pressure that the lanes are creating and then they're just capitalizing on it, they're getting into the pockets faster. They're laying down the traps. They're abusing the fact that they are making these classic picks on the like of Mako, on the likes of Clearlove.
Yeah, you never really want to look at Mako and just say he is at fault for anything. And so naturally you'll start to look towards the rest of the team. This member on your screen is always a place you have to look. And maybe it's just against RNG, against that pressure cooker, he has to baby iBoy just that little bit too much to try and keep him in the game. And only certain players around the world are capable of doing both that and winning the game all together. And that's namely pretty much just Mata. Like, big job for Mako. And it could be that pressure that Uzi and Ming are exerting as to why that is lacking.
Just look at Mako's face right there. Normally he's very jovial, very bouncing, lighthearted, you know, showing some smiles.
He's deadly serious. He's not having a good experience. The Tarek hasn't been near up to par.
Surprise.
Which, look, maybe that is just a Tarek thing.
It's just the curse now in the LPL. It just doesn't work out.
Then why do we keep falling into it, Balls?
I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point, I have to feel. But we do have an update. It was a mouse headset issue, so shouldn't be too difficult. Should be able to just swap that one out and we'll get back into the game shortly. Nothing that will require any more drastic measures, so pretty simple.
Yeah. Hopefully we get back in soon. This is the time in the game where RNG want to fulfill that momentum and continue that moving forwards. Any kind of pause is very unfortunate for that.
You're literally pausing the momentum. You know, you can see them right here, and all the players have to stew in this. They have to sit here, especially for EDG, who are right they're down in this game, they're down in the series, and they've got to be like, well, I sit here in silence and think about all the things that went wrong, but then you have to condition yourself into going, what am I going to do next? What's my next play?
But it does allow them kind of this mental reset as we look at Clearlove. You know, he closes his eyes, he sets his head back, take a deep breath, get back into this game. Okay, guys, this is what we need to do.
I mean, it's not a tactical pause, but for certain people it absolutely might feel like one. Being able to sit in silence might help to reset your mentality, but sitting in silence is also a very big detriment to certain people's mentalities as well, because you want to be able to express. Maybe you just want to say sorry for a performance or a mistake you made, but now you can't talk after it because there's a pause. And on the other side, for me, the amusing thing has always been like, imagine you're a winning team, you've got all the momentum in the world, you're hyped up, you're on the big stage, and now you're not allowed to talk. And for 10 minutes, you're sitting there, you're like, what am I going to do when we come back? And then all 5 of you are just like, well, I'm going to do all of this. And you get none of it done.
Yeah, communication becomes a mess. It's like, we should do this. But right now, at this point in the game as well, everyone had just backed away and is just waiting for those objectives to spawn, so it won't be too chaotic as we go back in, as I'm sure everyone will just start fighting.
And the number one thing for me is checking in on that Baron timer again. Lost track of it, need to immediately figure out when it's going to spawn again, because that's going to be the next big deciding factor. EDG should be safe to kind of sit back on their inhib towers, collect the farm, try to ramp up a little bit more. But if that clock strikes midnight, Baron comes back up, time's out.
Yeah, I can definitely say it's a number between 0 and 6 minutes.
27 minutes and
Excellent.
15 seconds. I don't know what time we're in game right now, but I can tell you that's when it's going to spawn.
Good to know.
Is your headset labeled Frostgearin?
Maybe.
I mean, you can't see right now, can you? So
Can't see my headset, it's on my head.
It shouldn't be too much longer, guys, as we head into this.
But if RNG win here, which this is effectively their game to lose at this point, so we come back in.
Here we go.
And it's 24 minutes, 20 seconds. So we got, what, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Yep.
And MLXG used his ultimate and Scout flashed, so welcome back.
Yeah, there you go.
Means he won't have it for that Baron.
But dragons are spawned as well on top of that. The mountain dragon, that will be something that RNG want to gun towards. You already have another mountain dragon on top of that. 15 seconds, I believe, is how fast they took down the Baron last time, Rusty.
Yeah.
So that one will be at least 10% fast, if not 20, if they get the next one. Knock up there onto iBoy.
Oh, here goes Quillo.
Engaged by Clear. The first time we've seen it from disengaged by EDG. But right now, they're being ripped apart. Great disengage by Uzi.
But that was everything. That was the Taric ultimate, the Cataclysm, as well as the Equalizer, and it barely scratched RNG.
And you want to know why? It's because Tristana and Alistar have this uncanny ability to disengage you from fights that they don't want you to be in. Then, I mean, Mako presses the ultimate, he walks forwards, Ming just headbutts him away, and the only person that gets it is Mako with Clearlove stuck by himself in a Cataclysm.
I mean, in a region that has been so dependent on super hard engage, everyone flying at you, especially EDG, they've been so reliant on the Maokai that's been permabanned this series. RNG have created a composition around disengage, while still empowering their ability to go forward. They have the Gragas, they have the Cho, they have the Alistar, the Tristana. How are you ever supposed to break into that?
Yeah, there is a lot of disengage with a high skill cap on the engage aspects of it. Of course, the Gragas cast has to be perfect, and that's the major engage source of this team right now, besides the Cho'Gath knockup and Ming getting perhaps a flank off or flashing forwards to get the engage. But even then, if an Alistar has a flank, you can see him. Certain champions can outplay it, such as Xayah and the carries of EDG.
I don't always want to be the harbinger of bad news, but RNG are 10,000 gold ahead of EDG at this point in time.
I mean, that's great news if you're an Uzi fan.
It definitely is. You know, Uzi, Xiaohu, both of these guys, massive fan base. You heard it from the crowd as well. Now, as we head into this, I mean, RNG have complete control over the Baron area. They just took the Mountain Dragon. There's another Mountain Dragon coming up for them as well if they want it in 6 minutes' time.
But Baron's also obviously just going to be the immediate look at. And with 40 seconds until that spawns, with wave control well and truly secured by them, especially because Tristana has the static shiv, it's theirs for the taking. It's EDG's job and responsibility to try and get in and not die whilst they get in there. And this feels like deja vu from game number 1 all over again, because they are set up to succeed and to take this Baron near on spawn.
And it's just too easy with all of their disengage and their zone control. I would be shocked if Clearlove got anywhere near the pit for an attempted steal.
Yeah, I think the way this plays out for RNG is clear this way. Once Uzi clears that one, they can decide whether they want the pick or they want to actually just take the Baron immediately. But right now, spawning in 1 second, and they move over. Waves are set up, vision's control.
And there's no blue trinkets available for EDG. There's the flag.
They want the pick.
Waiting for someone to face check, and there it is.
MLXG.
Man, body slam out from MLXG to start us off. Equalizer falls down, but Cleanup is just running around Uzi.
Uzi's dead.
He's actually got the kill. This is going well for EDG right now. Another kill back on towards Mako, as it will be the second from Letme, and now everyone gets chased down from EDG. From what looked like a glimmer of hope, all gets turned around. Triple kill to Letme. 5-for-1 trade.
And you can kill Uzi if you would like, but RNG is still a full team built around him. Massive team fight from Xiaohu and the rest of RNG. They still got 180 carry standing, and they can go straight towards the base.
And they can conserve the creep wave because they also have all of their tanks with all of their health. So they don't have to burn this. They can save it.
They're just so damn tanky. And EDG, we've got 1 second on Mako. This looks like it will be inhibitors right here. Maybe a second turret on the bottom lane.
Taking turrets. RNG are frantically pinging the mid-inhib, but Xiaohu, who is the damage source, has chosen structures.
Bit of an interesting call there. Maybe some indecision, but it started out with a great pick.
There was a fantastic flash body slam from MLXG, and Uzi dies here, right? Very early into the fight, they cancel his knockup, they take him apart. But look at Xiaohu most importantly, because once he sees the opportunity after iBoy ult, comes in and finally is able to output some damage with it. But the tanks were already killing them before Xiaohu even comes in. He's just a focal point, so by surviving, RNG still win.
Yeah, and speaking of tanks, I mean, Xiaohu had a great performance, but Letme, the
Yeah.
linebacker in front of him, created space, allowed Lucian to reset the exhaust on him and find the flash over the wall.
And the important part is that Xiaohu knocks it down, but Letme is setting it up. He's able to kill them. He's able to force the ultimate with Gragas out of the carries of EDG. And they're all trying to kill one carry. They all move to the next carry. And if you forget about the tanks, they will take you apart.
It's just so obnoxious. They have so much health, they're unkillable, and they kill you back. And when they're so far ahead in this game, now what? A 14,000 gold lead to RNG.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of those items, you literally can't kill them. Like, EDG just don't have enough damage right now.
The tank that gets ahead stays ahead, Pulse. It's
Yep.
just the way that it works. And right now you're expecting free Baron, honestly, to be taken, even though the inhibitors are standing.
I believe the one nice thing that happened for EDG is they got control over the Scuttle Crab. You can see it right now on your screen. And that forces RNG to go back over the back wall.
2 dashes, and Ming jumps over.
Oh, that's both scrying orbs.
They're going to spot them now, but this is dying very quickly, even with 3 members. MLXG turns up, Smite comes down, and RNG sneak the Baron.
And they're going top, so they're immediately going to the one lane that doesn't have an open inhibitor. They have Scout going bottom, and once they spot this, they could still go top. They are not going to be afraid.
No, Scout's just buying some time on the bottom side, but this is a massive
It's a big
tank.
joker.
This is an Armada approaching this tower. Mouse has already dropped to half. Tower just disappears. And now we're on to the inhibitors. Remember, the other inhibitors, mid and bottom, are actually just completely bare and left open.
And they're just going to make their stroll over there.
I mean, if EDG want to stop this, they have to go for the engage, but it's MLXG with the disengage right now.
There goes
Clear
Clearlove.
Love with engage on the front lines, but they haven't taken any damage yet. Cosmic Radiance is good, buys 2 seconds. RNG have still taken their objective that they wanted though, and Letme got to keep poking at him because he's got that Warmogs.
But again, that's 4 cooldowns wasted from EDG. They didn't kill anyone from RNG. Maybe they've pushed them off the Nexus turrets, but that's all 3 inhibs gone.
That means that one more push is all that it takes for RNG. They can go via the Mountain Drake to go towards the Nexus as well, and that's going to be 3 Mountain Drakes for RNG. They could not be more equipped to finish this game off.
This is absurd.
It's so big.
He barely fits in the jungle. Like, how much health does he have naturally? Over 5,000 health? That's over 10,000 health with Gargoyles.
And that is a 10-stack choker for
10
you.
stack choker, 506, and has 4 items. Yep. He's not going to die ever.
He's bigger than the dragon.
He's actually bigger than the dragon. This is absurd.
Thank you, Letme.
The crowd definitely appreciates how large Letme is.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Banana for scale.
Oh, an RNG, 3rd Mountain Dragon. Like, they're just going to carve through these remaining Nexus turrets like a hot knife through butter.
And we've seen EDG try to fight. We've already seen their last-ditch effort to engage. Clearlove pretty much is that engage, and so what is it for EDG now? They just have to kind of watch and think about the next game, honestly.
This is the Spartan stand.
It's got to be them drawing some line in the sand, but iBoy just lost half his health, has to be healed back up. And RNG, they have the 6th member, and that 6th member is named Minions. because they're coming in from the bottom, the top, and the mid, all flooding in and crashing against these towers.
EDG have to do something.
There's so much work against Scout. He's always dead before this fight even starts. Has to on his. There's a 4 vs 5 to start this one off, and RNG just about obliterate the front line.
Oh,
Uzi, he's looking for a reset time as he gets himself the double, knocks him back at the spawn pad. There's the triple. Uzi, he really wants his quad trap, but Mouse is going to deny. But what they do get is game 2. RNG 2-0 over EDG.
And Uzi cleans up with the triple, jumps onto EDG spawn, and is now 1 game away from his first domestic title.
You can feel it, set point for RNG. The crowd's behind him. They're behind Uzi, as you mentioned. Wants his first ever domestic title for himself, and he is 1 game away. And it's not even really the Uzi show. That's the craziest thing. It's the team around him. The whole roster is showing up.
Yeah.
Xiaohu said in an interview that when Uzi rejoins, first WE, then the LPL title, and he is keeping good on his promise so far.
Xiaohu's word definitely means something in the LPL. How absurd it would be if RNG finds the clean sweep against EDG here after being clean sweeped in the last final back in spring by WE. And that is the cleanest ramp.
Yeah. That's a 38-minute game, and it didn't even really need to go to 38 minutes. That's RNG playing it slow, making it feel real good for themselves as they just gradually take apart EDG's base, making them suffer.
And the fact of the matter is how many towers? 1 to 11. Again, it's the Tristana. She hyperscales into late game, but when you're picking up all of that global gold, having 3 Mountain Dragons on top of it, not only is the Baron going to drop quickly, but you're going to balloon even earlier into late game status.
Mouse actually did a lot of work on that rumble. You know, we commented it back in the laning phase. The fact he's on a carry this time, he's not just on a tank where he's going. His job is to engage. He actually put in a lot of work, but unfortunately the team just couldn't follow up on it.
Yeah, and again, that was kind of the one bridge that EDG had left to try to get them into kind of miracle zone. Unfortunately, the game ended, and Mouse was still only level 15, so couldn't put in or couldn't survive long enough.
Yeah, the one fight that happened around the Baron that RNG engaged, he still killed 2 of the carries almost. He definitely killed 1 of them and tried his little heart out, but Mouse is only 1 man, and the rest of the team wasn't really there around him. You look at Scout's damage to champions, and that was very low. And that's also the focus of RNG, putting that damage down to be that low by ensuring he's not going to be relevant in this game. And it feels like RNG have just downloaded EDG's strategy, and they know that the mid lane is the key to success.
Download is a great word for it, because it wasn't even just during the series, it was before going into it. It's like they've never even dropped a beat. And then following that, EDG, I mean, I feel like a broken record saying it, but they look like just disconnected. Like, they're not going at the same times. Like, Clearlove goes in for the engage. Like, we do see the proactive play very late into the game, honestly, way too late. And then when that happens, then the equalizer comes down. You know, it's not all happening simultaneously.
It feels like EDG don't have a good read on what their priority pick should be. I mean, we're not in team comms with them. We can't hear what they're saying, but with my, I don't know, just looking at this, I'm like, why Galio? Why the Jarvan? Why aren't you prioritizing Mako? Why aren't we getting this Alistar? Why aren't we building on all of the success and the adjustments that we saw in the Invictus Gaming versus EDG series? It's like they completely changed how they play around objectives. They had these great, really cool compositions. Like, okay, now throw all of that away. We're going to try to 5v5 every single time.
And we have said it at the start of the second game as well. They didn't really adapt all that much towards what happened in game number 1. It's very similar. They gave RNG pretty much the same thing. They picked pretty much a similar idea for themselves besides top lane being a tank. And ultimately, now they've lost with this as well. You have to come back to the third game and be like, well, pretty sure we should change more than just this. We should actually take things away from RNG, because we've proven that they can still beat us with that composition even if we change, and so now we need to change them.
And that's the biggest thing, right? Like, fundamentally, they've just gone into the second game. It's like, okay, it didn't work out. Let's try it again. Didn't work a second time. Well, is it worth even going for a third time? Maybe at that point you actually just change the entire strategy and say, okay, now our goal should be objective control, or go back to what was working in the previous set and back in the playoffs, instead of just going for the same strategy and expecting something to change.
No, I agree. I think they have to re-hit the drawing board, and Coach Nofe needs to start adjusting multiple things. It wasn't just the Rumble up into the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, the Rumble for me was actually one of the shining lights of EDG's adaptations here. I think the J4 could very easily be something else. I think the Taric was... It's cool in concept, but he's still being exposed early through the draft phase. He's still being banned out, and if they just pick for him earlier, that won't be as big a problem.
I mean, it's always great in theory, and that's why people pick at the LPL, but in reality, it just doesn't work out. However, on the opposite side, it feels like everyone's getting exactly what they want. MLXG gets his Gragas, finds himself an MVP, and like the players that you're not looking towards, you know, we said focus on Uzi, focus on Xiaohu, and then MLXG is showing up, Ming's showing up.
Yeah, it's the support staff that's showing up for RNG, the jungle, the support, and on the other side, it's the support staff that's falling down for EDG, Mako and Clear Love.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Let Me was in contention for an MVP perhaps in this game.
Surprised he didn't get it.
But, I mean, MLXG's engages were crisp. They were always on point. He was a big part of their success in this one. Let Me still performing well. Ming still performing well. And you're right, the auxiliaries have been incredible for the RNG roster. And for me, that's the biggest part of why this set hasn't been as close as you might have expected. You think that they're just going to be support stuff. They're just going to have Xiaohu hard carry them. That's how they got to this tournament right now, to the finals from the semis. It was just a big semi performance from Xiaohu in Game 5. But no, everyone's here to play.
I mean, let's look back at what we said at the very start, which was question marks around iBoy. He's facing down Uzi, who is so hungry for his domestic title. That's where it's going to start separating, and maybe it does in a reverse way. You look towards Mako, having to babysit him, but then you look towards Clearlove, you know, who is meant to be the leader, meant to be the shot caller, meant to be leading the charge, and he's falling down.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me. You know, we know that Mouse and iBoy are probably going to be polarized, and we don't know quite what we're going to get from them, but Scout, Clearlove, and Mako, they are not playing to their best of their ability, and for them to fall down in the finals, I couldn't think of a worse time.
And you're still seeing the shot calling from them. I don't think that's the biggest problem. I feel like there's a disconnection between the two of them individually. When we hit mid-game, when we hit late game, if they're equal, then things might be better for the side of EDG, but getting there has been the biggest problem because they're always losing in the early game, being preyed upon. Ming looks like he is outperforming Mako because Mako's just hard-locked with his 80 carry.
And the crazy thing is that early game's supposed to be where EDG really thrive. You know, this is what their bread and butter of their domestic split so far. It's been these 7-minute tower dives where suddenly 5 members of EDG are underneath bot.
The teleport there with the Rumble ulti.
Well, we'll see if EDG can actually fire back because they need to right now as they're put up against a match point. We're going to take a short break before we come in for Game 3.